Hi, I'm Doug and welcome to another Blender modeling tutorial. Today we're going to be going through creating a simple dinosaur character called Barry, who was created by Imogen at Manga Club, and then I've done a basic extrusion modeling process to create him in 3D. So by following today's tutorial, you'll hopefully create something similar to this, if not identical, if you import the background image that should be in the link in the description below. In terms of the topics covered, we've got 5 main areas that we're going to be covering. The first one is how to import a background image into Blender. Then how to apply and use the mirror, bevel and subsurf modifiers. Being able to select and manipulate multiple faces and vertices at once. Then we've got the basic extrusion modeling for all areas of the character. And then finally being able to use the clipping tool effectively to create his legs and things that are separate, and this is connected to the mirror modifier. In terms of the creative skills, well, you're going to learn an awful lot today, and the main thing you're going to learn is how to think in 3 dimensions, which in itself, if you can get your head around that, well, you're well on your way to being a 3D modeler and animator. Let's just get started straight away. So I'm going to open up Blender, and we're just going to use the default cube today, which is what we did last time. The first thing we're going to do though is import our concept drawing of Barry, which I've got saved on a memory stick just as a JPEG. I think Blender will accept quite a few different file formats. But I've just got it as a JPEG. I guess it could be a PNG. I'm not too sure about any of the others. So if you've got a drawing, I'll try and put a link to this this actual picture in the description. And this is one that's been made by somebody called Imogen. Hello, Imogen, if you're listening and trying to follow this through. And I really like this drawing. So the first thing we're going to do is import in this JPEG, which in itself in Blender is not the easiest thing to do. You know, there's nowhere you look at these menus and dockers and you can't actually find anywhere to actually import your picture. So the first thing we're going to do is press the N key, and it brings up this sub menu, and you do have to sort of look down it because it's near the bottom. Look, so I want to check this background images. Then want to click on the little triangle or fly out, click add image, and then we're still not there. We have to then click open. I'm going to go to I, which is my memory stick. I'm going to go to my Barry folder. Always try and keep things, you know, as organized as you can. It was this barry.jpg. So I'll click on that and nothing's there. Okay, not very useful at all. The reason for that is that the image will only appear in certain views, and this can be quite useful because you can actually set it to appear in a specific view. I'm just going to turn down, I feel like I've got too much reverb on. I think that's better. I hope it is anyway. So the reason this can be useful, mapping it to a specific axis. So if I click on all views, the other day I was doing some work where I wanted to composite in some animation that I'd done with a bit of video footage, and the easiest way to do that was to lock a picture to the camera, and that way my virtual camera was I could get it roughly the same angle as the one in Blender, and it was nowhere near doing motion tracking or anything like that, but for a rough composite it was actually okay. I think what we'll do in this tutorial is we will set it to the right, which is actually side view. I don't know why it's called right in here and then it's actually called side view elsewhere. So if we left click on that, we know the axis is on the right, so we're going to press 3 on the numpad and then 5 to go into orthographic, and there's Barry. Okay, really simple thing to do, but really useful. If you want to model a face, do a self-portrait, do a product, maybe you've made a product and you want to model it, or you want to take an existing product and make a 3D model it, you could put a picture of a car in here. It could be absolutely anything. We're just going to move this around a little bit, so we're just going to change. So X is left and right. I should have known that already. So we're just going to drop it roughly onto this green line, which is our horizon, and we're going to start modeling with the cube. So his feet there are just on the cube. So let's just move that out of the way a bit. So So we're going to use our default cube. We need to do exactly what we did in the last tutorial, which was apply 3 different object modifiers so that we're only ever modeling half the cube. I'm just going to move this camera out of the way a little bit as well. So we've got a cube. I'm going to press 1 to go into front view, tab to go into edit mode, Control and R, left click twice, A key to deselect, make sure I've got my occlude background geometry on, B to box select, select it over, press delete vertices, and then I'm going to go over this is exactly what we did in the last tutorial. I'm going to go over to my object modifiers and add our three object modifiers that we need to do this properly. So first one is, bevel. Okay, and you can play about with these settings, so let's just minimize that to make it easy to work with. Second one is mirror. So now we've got already, it's duplicated or created a mirror of it, so that we're only modeling half the mesh because we're making like a character, so obviously we want it to be as symmetrical as possible. For now, we're going to, this is the bit where I got stuck yesterday. Now, I didn't know I'd got stuck until I started to model legs and realized that I hadn't been going backwards and forwards looking to see if clipping was on. Now, I think this is mostly because this is now in a different place, okay, and just because I wasn't used to it being here, I wasn't visually just going over and having a look at it. So the clipping thing we'll use when we turn that on and I want something to be joined together, we want the clipping on, so it makes these 2 shapes one shape. Okay, if the clipping's turned off, say we want to create a leg, so I'll show you this in a couple of minutes time. Just going to check I'm still recording. Yep. So say I want to create Barry's leg, I obviously want his legs to be separate. I don't want his 2 front legs to be joined together, so we take the clipping off, and that was the problem I was having yesterday. Okay, so that was the main one. So let's just minimize that for now as well, and then finally the last modifier we want is subdivision surface, which is our subsurf. That's what it's called in 249, and it does actually say subsurf somewhere on it. And the other problem I had yesterday was I was trying to model something with too much detail when all I was trying to do really was just get the basic shape right. So I had this view and render set up to about 5 or 6, and it was making my computer run really slow. So the best thing to do is just perhaps have it on 2 and 2, and then a bit later on when we're adding in some of the details, we can perhaps then start to add in more view, more render numbers, up these a little bit. But it will, even if you've got a good PC like a Core i3 or a quad core i5 or i7, it will start to make it run slow. So let's just start. So let's go back into our side view. So we're going to make Barry's tummy or his torso, and then from there we can start to model out his legs, model out his neck and his tail. So I'm just going to go tab into object mode, press the G key and rotate him a little bit, and then S key to scale, and I think that is probably quite a good start. That's not too bad. The only problem is if we go into front view, we can see actually that it's not that great, is it? It just looks like a cube, so we need to do something with this. So let's press tab to go into edit mode, Control and R, and as I said yesterday, the idea is to as I said yesterday, you haven't even listened to that. As I said in the tutorial that I did make that I haven't posted yesterday, the idea is to keep the number of polys and the number of faces down to the as low as possible that you can work with. So I'm just going to have 2 here. So I press Control and R, use the scroll wheel on the mouse, scroll up once, and then it's given me 2 subdivisions. So that's fine. Okay, so all I want to do is I want to grab these vertices. So I just press B there to box select them, And then I want to make this a little bit rounded. I'm not too worried, you know, I'm just trying to get the basic model done in a fairly quick amount of time. And as I learned yesterday, that's not always the easiest thing. You know, I was literally modeling for hours just to get even a basic shape together, because I think I was just trying to be too precise. Sorry, I'm just going to have a quick cup of coffee. That's better. It is Friday afternoon. I'm allowed to treat myself. So that's better already. We've got an almost circle. So this is going to be Barry's torso. So let's just start to extrude this out a bit. We can see it's gone a little bit too big. So I'm now just going to scale it back down a tiny bit. Tab to go into edit mode again. A key to deselect all. B key to select those. So I'm just doing that to check that I've actually got them selected. E key to extrude. S key to scale. I think this is what I did yesterday. I'm trying to sort of replicate what I did yesterday, but it's quite hard. Hopefully it'll be quicker and better. So I think if we extrude this to this angle here, we can then start to pull his legs down and do his neck. His neck, we need the clipping on, because it's obviously one part that's joined to his torso. The legs, we want the clipping off. So if we extrude this again and rotate it a bit, and then what should we do? Let's just G key to grab and pull it over. So all I'm trying to do is just get the really basic form in place. Now what you need to do, okay, we've got that, is we need to think, right, how are we going to do Barry's neck? I'm just going to press Control and Op just to go so I can see it nice full screen. I've got quite a big monitor anyway, but it is quite useful to do that. So I can see these two vertices, so that one and that one are roughly, you know, the width of Barry's neck in profile. So I'm going to go into top view, 7, and I need something that is a bit rounder than I've got here, and I can turn off this background geometry now because I'm only dealing with things in the foreground. So I need to try and make a little bit of a rounded shape to model Barry's neck with in between these two vertices. So I think the easiest way to do this, and this is completely unrehearsed, is just Control and R to create a vertex loop, and I think we'll just fix it in the middle. We'll select this left vertice, G key to pull it over, and I think we'll move that one back a little bit as well, and this one, and I'm just trying to make something that looks sort of rounded. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. This was, as I said, this was my problem yesterday, trying to do, you're probably thinking, God, that model was rubbish anyway. But you know, I was trying to do things, so when I was after something round, because obviously a neck is relatively round, I was trying to get it too round. I was spending too long doing it, and for the purposes of a tutorial, that's not very useful at all. So I'm going to go down here to my face select mode. I'm going to select both of these, go into side view, just press S to scale a little bit, G to grab it. So I'm just going to try, I mean, the trick is now to try and stay along these lines as much as possible. Now, what's nice about this drawing is that it's got uneven lines. Let's just check I'm still recording. Sorry, I'm really paranoid about the time of this tutorial and whether it's actually recording or not. So I'm trying to stay within these lines because I know that will keep the original sort of feeling of the character. As soon as you start to deviate from that, which I have done in my, you know, in that final render where I'd sculpted Barry, I'd sort of moved away a little bit from what the actual character was. But for now, we're just going to try and stay within those lines. So let's just extrude this up. So E key, let's, right, 3. Right, I'm just trying to get in the right view. So let's have a look. G key, that's obviously too big, so we're going to scale that in a bit. I can pull these in a bit later on. Obviously that's gone wrong, but we'll sort that out in a second. The main thing is to get the shape in profile view, and then we can go from there. So let's go E key again and G key to grab. That's not too bad. E key again, G key to grab. Let's just start to rotate this a bit. This will look absolutely horrendous in front view, by the way, and I'm sure anybody who's quite proficient at Blender who's watching this is probably thinking this looks very amateurish, but this is I think this is a good way of, you know, of doing quite a basic model. So I'm hoping that you will as well. So all I'm doing is using the E key, the S key to scale bits up. So I need to start bringing this in a bit. You can see it's gone a bit wrong here, so let's just rotate that. E key. Not too sure about that. Let's go back to there. So I just press Control and Z a couple of times because I wasn't happy with the way that's looking. So E key, then scale this down a bit. That looks a little bit better. Probably rotate using the R key. No, still not happy. This is what kept happening yesterday, is I'd do a bit and then think, no, that looks terrible, and not be happy with it. So what can we do? Sorry, ignore that. So Control and Z. Right, let's go back to there. Let's have a look at it. Right, let's just straighten this up then before we go any further. So I'm going to go into front view, and all of this down here needs to get pulled in quite clearly. You know, Barry at the moment, bless him, has got a really fat neck, hasn't he? So I'm going to go into my vertex select mode, which is just that one down there, and I'm going to press the B key and just select these vertices. Just make sure that you have got them all selected. So let's just whip down there. No, the base is that base is too wide as well. So let's just see what this does, whether we can just pull these over. So 1 to go into front view, G key, R key to rotate. Just keep doing that until you get something that looks you know, roughly the sort of shape. That doesn't look too bad, you know, that's pretty quick. That's not bad for me, actually. I'm quite pleased with it. So let's just carry on modelling the head. I think I did a much better job yesterday in modelling the head, I have to say. But so I think this is actually at the wrong angle. So I'm just going to select these vertices, press the G key, and push those a bit behind, hopefully without pinching too much of the model. You know, it's very easy to start pinching the model. I'm just going to go into 1, which is front view, and just try and make a bit more of a head shape. I'm not too happy with this either. Again, this is what kept happening yesterday, is I kept sort of crossing the vertices over one another, and it made a real mess. So that's huge. So let's pull this down. Again, look, you can see I'm making a little bit of a mess of this. But sometimes you have to make a bit of a mess before you can go forwards. So let's go back into our face select mode, and just these two now. I think I had that one selected before, which was the problem. So let's just see. Right, that's not too bad. So I think if we just keep using our G key to grab, E key to extrude, let's just pull it down a bit, S key to scale. You can see this is quite an organic process. So E key to extrude. It's got like a little snout there, so we'll try and pull that down. S key to scale, R to rotate, and G key to grab. So I'm trying to do this lot in the fewest possible. It looks a bit like a snake. What's that snake from the Jungle Book? What's his name? I can't remember his name. Anyway, leave a comment below if you can remember the snake's name from the Jungle Book. I can't remember. But inside view, you know, it's nearly there. It's not too bad, is it? It's not brilliant, this bump on the back of his head, which, as I was saying, is quite, things like that are actually quite important when you are modelling a character from a drawing and you want to try and maintain, we call it fidelity, don't we? When you're trying to maintain sort of fidelity with the original thing. But when you're just trying to get the basic model done, don't let it slow you up too much. So, you know, I'm already on it. Look, I'm on it. Let's do this. Better, much better. Right, what's that pulling? Right, okay. So I'm just selecting vertices there. I know it doesn't look great at the moment, but it's getting somewhere. I could do with just going into front view, and I think just rounding off his head shape a little bit. So I'm just sort of trying to give him a bit. He's the drawing that Imogen had done. What I really liked about it, he's got like a bit of a, you know, an eyebrow. Yeah, I think that looks quite good. Okay, looks like a bit like a dinosaur, which is quite nice. Press Z. Yeah, I mean it's still fairly low poly. Look, there's like a few bumps, and it's a bit geometric. How are we doing for time? Let's just have a look. 23 minutes. Wow, we're gonna have to get going on this, folks. So that's the basic model for the neck and the head, and we've done that in about 10 minutes, I think, because I think I was waffling at the beginning. That was just my desk making a funny noise there, because that's what desks do, don't they? So I'm going to press Control and up, and this is now really important that we take off this clipping, because we're going to make 2 legs. We've got one in our drawing. I can see that Imogen's done a second or 2 second legs, the ones that are furthest away from me, in perspective. That's not going to really help us with at the moment, because unless we actually pose the legs, we don't really want to follow these inside lines. We just want to follow this one and then separate them. So what we're going to have a look at in edit mode is like we did before. So I'm just having a look around the model and just sort of having a think, is we need to make 2 separate legs, not one. That's why I've taken this clipping off. So I'm going to press Control and 7. When I've got, you need to have your cursor in there, by the way. So Control and 7. This is now the underside. So as if I'm sort of lying on the floor and looking up at him. And I need to look at this and think about, well, how am I going to make like a circle to come out of here? Because at the moment I've just got 4, you know, almost square faces to work with, and that's not really going to be any good. So I do need to put a couple of subdivisions in here. So I'll put one in there, I think, and move that over to about there. Let's have a look. Do I want his leg to come out from there or there? I think his leg probably needs to come out from this one. So I'm just going to press Control and 7 again. Did I say that one? I think I did. So let's just grab those. So I'm just pressing the G key. Just trying to get something a bit like a platform. If you think of it a bit like a platform. So I'm just holding down Shift and right clicking there. Just trying to make a little bit of a platform so that it's a good starting point. If you're modeling, if you're doing this sort of extrusion modeling, you always want to try and have things flat. Like we noticed that with his head, when I got into a bit of a pickle here, it was because I had something that had been skewed and it wasn't looking that symmetrical. So this is a good starting point. So now you can see, look, that I need, let's just pull that out, pull this one down a little bit. I want a leg that sort of comes from here. So I've just selected those. Let's pull that in. I'm going to press A key. I need to put in another. I don't like putting these subdivisions in because it can start to get messy. Now this is quite clever. I used to do this a lot in 2.49, so hopefully it's going to work in this. If you select the outer ones, so I've got my 4 outer vertices selected and press S and then scale it in, you can see I've made a bit of you know, it's not as blocky. Obviously it still looks blocky, but I've got, if you take this shape, okay, like that, that will be the start of his leg coming down. And obviously it's not going to be perfect. The neck wasn't perfect, but and the head wasn't, but it does look like a dinosaur already, so it's a good start. So well, I've just gone back in side view, so I press 3 to go in side view. I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to visually check, you know, this is what went wrong yesterday. I'm just looking to make sure that clipping is not checked, and we should be able to make 2 separate legs. So we're in side view. I'm just going to hit G just to move it over. What's that? That's not grabbed that side. Something's not grabbed. Ah, it's those, isn't it? I don't want those grabbed anyway, so that's okay. So you can see that we're a little bit off. I think we might want to just select the lot, go into side view, press G to pull this over lot, and that's worked really well. Look, we've got this, we're following the lines of Imogen's drawing, which is really good. So I'm going to go Control and up again, so I've got a really nice view, and I need to just take off these vertices. So I've just held down Shift and right click and deselected them. Go into 3, E key to extrude. Let's just go down to about there. G key. Bit of a bump there, we'll sort that out in a minute. E key to extrude. I'm going to rotate, so R key to rotate. G to grab, pull it over. E key to extrude. Rotate the other way, I think, because that's the way it's looking. S to scale it a little bit. E to extrude. S to scale. And wow, we have a leg. Now, what did it look like? Oh, it's worked. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Well, that's not too bad at all. I'm really happy with that. When I did this yesterday, I had loads and loads and loads of vertex loops, you know, these vertices all inside here, because I had to then join the bits together, which was making it look messy. Right, I feel like I'm making good progress now. So I'm going to go down to face select mode and select these vertices. It's, you know, it's his whole body. So what do we need to check? Well, we need to make sure that we've got on A key, because that was selected. We need to make sure that we've got clipping on this time, because what we're doing is we're moving the whole of Barry's torso to make, you know, the rear of him. If we don't have it checked, what's going to happen is we'll get this and the mesh will split apart and he'll have 2 backs, which is no good at all. So let's go into 3, which is our side view. That's now on. I'm confident that it's on, so I can go like that and make a mess. Sorry about that, folks. I just pressed Control and Up then in the wrong window. Thank you, Blender. So Control and Up, that's better. Let's just move this back a little bit. We're trying to follow the line, so it's S key, E key to extrude. And if you want, you can just have a look, make sure it's not split, and it hasn't. So Control and Up, 3 to go in side view. This look, this is no good at all. So what do we need to grab? Let's have a think. So A key to deselect. I think we need to go into vertex mode. So let's click that. B key to select. What have we grabbed? Those bottom 3. Right, okay, so let's G key and pull this down. So nicely locked within the limits of the drawing there. We need to now go back into face select mode. We could just drag a box over those. I think it'd probably grab most of them. We might be okay. No, it hasn't. It's a good job I checked. So select all those. E key to extrude. No, still done it wrong. Wow, Richard told me about this yesterday. Richard Fish said, I really hate it when people put on YouTube tutorials, and they make mistakes, and then they say, oh, I'm sorry about that, I didn't mean to do that. But you can't help it, Richard. I'm sorry. I'm not, you know, an amazing Blender person. I'm learning this for myself. Something's going on there, but again, I'm just going to steam ahead, otherwise I'm never going to make anything. So pull all that. Now it's got a little bit of a bump there, so I'm just going to make make it a bit easier on myself. These bits here, look, we can see that on his bottom, that just wants pulling out and manipulating a bit. I'm just using the G key there just to grab that, and then down the bottom here, I think these three will probably need rotating just to get that sort of shape right, and that's not too bad. So let's just go ahead and do his tail. His tail, we want the clipping on. The tail I did yesterday was really nice. It was a nice sort of rounded shape, so I'm going to go into vertex mode, and I just need to manipulate some of these vertices. Again, I'm trying to keep it nice and simple. I think I need a vertex loop along here though, so I can just make a bit more of a rounded shape. So I've just pressed Control and R there, and that looks about right. So you can see if I highlight these, and there is a way of doing this. I used to do this in I keep saying this about everything. It sounds like I know 2.49 really well, but I didn't. But if I just highlight these, that there is a way of highlighting all of those. That when I extrude that out, that will make a sort of rounded shape, I hope. So let's go back down to face select mode, select those two, go into side view. How are we doing for time? Let's have a look. 34 minutes, so we're getting close now to doing this in sort of half an hour ish. I know it sounds like I'm over, but we spent a few minutes at the beginning going through what we're doing. So we've missed a bit lot at the top, so I think we'll just sort that out. You see how it's not, the model is not now within the lines of the drawing. I think we'll just sort that out before we go any further, and I think that's just because I was trying to make that shape originally. So let's just go into our vertex mode. I think it's probably just those three along the top, isn't it? I think by look things. So I'm just right click and shift, G key to grab. That's a bit better. Yeah. So we've now, yeah, this will be okay. I think we're gonna have to just go with it and see what it looks like. If it looks horrendous, we can always change it in the next tutorial. So I'm just holding down shift and right click. So this is now going to be his tail. So I'm going to go 3, and it's the same process that I've been using. So E key to extrude, S key to scale, rotate, so that's R key, E key to extrude, G key to grab, it's not looking too bad, S key to scale, E key to extrude, G to grab, R to rotate. So quite a lot of rotation needed on that last bit because I'm trying to get around a corner. Excuse me. Right, E key to extrude. And I think what we'll do, I think the design that Imogen had done, the idea was that Barry would have a furry tail, which is possible. We can do that. But we're going to have to do that at some later date, because if we do that now, it will take quite a long while. And to be honest, we've not even, got any detail on Barry yet. But if you look at him, he's within the lines of the drawing, and he looks like quite a good model. Yeah, he's too blocky at the moment, but we'll get all that sorted. So let's just do the leg. What do I need to check again? Control and up. We now need to take clipping off again, because we're going to do exactly what we did on the front, and that was really successful. If you look at that, we've made two things that actually look like legs. Okay, they look a little bit like sausages, but that's not too bad. So I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode, Control and 7, and again I'm looking for a group of vertices that I can use. So I'm going to have to select vertex mode there. A group of vertices that I can use for his back legs. Now is a good sort of it's a good thing to sort of just go back and have a look at this and have a look at the one that I did yesterday. So you can see here I've sort of sculpted all this, which I'll do in the next tutorial. His legs are a little bit thinner than the front legs, and I quite like the weighting of this. It looks like quite a nice character. So do keep checking back on your reference pictures. Even if it's something as basic as this, it's still a really useful tool. So I think his back leg should probably, if you look at these 4 vertices, right, so those, I think we should get away with those if we just manipulate them a little bit. So let's just press Control and 7 again. So we're looking underneath, and I think we're just going to have to move them about a tiny bit. So just Shift and right click. No, I need to select that whole row. Sorry about that. So again, I'm trying to make a little bit of a platform. I think I'll just move these into the middle, but more for later on than now. And that's a nice square lot. So I'm just going to right click and Shift and select those 4, and then scale those in to make a bit of a rounded shape. And then I can go into face select mode and now select these 4, and this is the basis of his back legs. So we've got clipping off, so we know that when we start to extrude this, it's going to make you know, a separate leg. So let's just go for it again. So Control and up, move the mod so we get a nice good view of it. Again, we're trying to keep within the lines as much as possible. So E key to extrude, S key to scale. I think we're just going to press G key and then rotate that a little bit. It's sort of, the perspective on it looks like it's sort of coming towards me. So I'm just going to press Control and 1 to go into back view, and you can see there, you know, we've got a nice shape, but it's looking like it's sort of moving out away from me. So I'm just going to extrude it, not extrude it, sorry. I've just pressed the G key to grab it to pull it in a little bit. This is a bit more, it's got a bit more shape to it than I would have liked, but I'm not too concerned, and just rotate it to get it level. So when I go back into my side view, I press S to scale it in to keep it within the line of my drawing. You know, again, I'm just trying to keep things square. Only pull it down as far as you can do, without losing the shape. If you have to do more, I guess it's not too bad, but it will later on when you're rendering and you're adding more vertices by using the subsurf. It will sort of make it a lot more complicated. So E key to extrude, G key to grab. This is looking good. E key to extrude, S key to scale, G key to grab. I'm just going to have to scale it up a tiny bit. That's better. E key to extrude. I'm just going to have to Shift and middle mouse button just to pan across. S key, G key to grab. This is looking really good. And then E key to extrude. This is probably the last one. And then S to scale, just to give him a nice rounded back leg. If you look at the drawing, where's the Barry render one? I've sort of given him quite flat feet, and it looks okay. I think in an animation that would actually look quite good. But again, it's not what the original concept was. And for this tutorial, I'm just trying to stick to the original concept. So let's just have a look. That's okay. You know, we've got a lot of work to do, but it looks good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it there. We've done that in, well, it's been about 30 something minutes to get from a concept drawing to that, which isn't too bad at all. What we'll do in the next tutorial is just tidy up some of these shapes, because he obviously looks quite blocky. But as a, you know, if you thought of this, the context for it as being like a cartoon, then it's not too bad, is it? if we think that we want something that looks, where is it? That looks a little bit more naturalistic. This, I'm not saying this does, you know, this isn't anatomically correct or anything like that. I didn't use any reference pictures to do this sculpting. I just like the look of it, you know, and I was just sort of using my imagination a little bit with this and thinking, right, where would I want the bulges to be, the shapes to be, you know, what sort of form? Because he's obviously got quite a fat tummy there, and the original Barry is obviously quite slim. So this Barry's been on a diet. This one's been to McDonald's. Oh, and by the way, I spent much of today pouring paint on a Big Mac meal, which was great, and I'll post some video of that on YouTube soon. So I want to leave it there, so this isn't too long. I hope you've actually worked through this. I'm going to try and post a link to the picture, and I'll put the picture on the Sonical Media website so that you can get the picture and perhaps have a go for yourself. The other way of doing it is obviously to draw your own concept drawing. Oh, it looks quite nice in wireframe mode. To draw your own concept drawing like Imogen has done, and actually import that in yourself and go with that. And as I said, this could be a picture from the internet, but if you want something nice and simple to work from, and you want to, you know, learn a solid process for modeling a character, then do just have a go at drawing your own. If you can draw it from the front, you know, how you imagine it to be from the front, from the back, from the other side, and from the top as well, well, that would help, but it's not going to help if you don't know the basic process. Like if I knew now, so if I just go back into my model, so I just press the Z key, I know now what Barry looks like from the top, from the side, from the other side, that's the front, and you know, I know what he looks like from different angles. Sometimes it's quite hard to do that. Some people can just imagine it and think, right, what would Barry look like from top view? What would he look like from the side? What would he look like in perspective? But that's it. Okay, so we'll leave it there. And next tutorial, I'll just go through a little bit of sculpting. I've been learning how to use the brushes in sculpt mode, which is really interesting. So if I click on that, you can see we've got lots of different brushes, and you can start to sort of physically shape him like he's made out of clay and get some really nice effects with it. So I think I do need to spend a little bit of time just having a practice with that though before I do a tutorial. So that's it for now. Have fun with it as always. Please, you know, if you can, I would love to see some of your attempts. Obviously I've been doing this, recording this live. I've not had any breaks. I've not switched the record off and then started again because I've made any mistakes this time, which is what I did yesterday. And I would love to see some of your concept drawings. I'd like to see you having a go at doing this for yourself and posting the responses below. So I'll see you soon. Bye. That's the noise that dinosaurs make.